Bonjour, bonsoir, salut, bienvenue à cette présentation sur les verbes IR et RE et le négatif. Okay, so welcome to the second presentation of present tense verb conjugations. We are going to look at verbs that end in IR and RE, and we're also going to look at how to change all type of verbs into the negative. Okay. So, brief revision. Verbs are action words. They describe actions, and there are two concepts you should remember. The first one is infinitive, is infinitive. How do I recognize an infinitive or an infinitive? In English, you have to in front of the verb. In French, you have to look at the ending. You look at the last two letters. We've done ER in the previous one presentation. Now we're going to look at the IR and the RE presentations. How do we find out these infinitives? Look at the last two letters. All right. Second one we have to look at is concept we have to remember. The second concept we have to remember is les conjugations, which means, what does the conjugation mean? It means to transform an infinitive no match the pronoun. D'accord? So in infinitive, you identify the verb by looking at the last two letters. Now, this is very important for regular verbs. Irregular verbs, not really so, because you have to memorize them. But if you know a verb is regular and you know which group it belongs to by looking at the last two letters, it will help you conjugate them or transform the infinitive to match the subject. So, two types of groups, regular, irregular. Each has three types of verbs, and I look at them, identify them from the infinitive, look at the last two letters, and these last two letters will let you know whether it's an ER verb. Parler, look at the last two letters, you know it's an ER verb. IR, look at the last two letters of the verb, you know it's an IR verb. RE, it's the last two letters that you have to concentrate on, and this tells you which group it belongs to. This identification helps in conjugating regular verbs because now you know there's a pattern. If you know it's regular, there's a pattern you have to apply to match convert the infinitive into an action word. Irregulars, memorize them. Okay? Irregulars, memorize them. Regulars, memorize the pattern. D'accord? So, quite a lot of irregular verbs are there, and you have to spend quite a lot of time memorizing them. There are equal number of very regular verbs, but you don't need to memorize all of them. You just need to know the meaning of the infinitive, and then you apply the pattern to the infinitive and you get your conjugation. All right, it's a bit like maths, which is why some of you find it difficult because you don't like maths. Okay, conjugations. What does it mean? Do you remember? Transforming infinitives to match subject pronouns. Take the infinitive, remove the ER, you get a base. To the base, you add an ending and you get your conjugated form. That's the same thing we learned for ER verb. That's the same thing we're learning for IR and RE verbs. Only thing the endings will change. Subject pronouns remain the same. Je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, plural, elle, plural. So remember, the S is mostly silent. Slowly you'll find out when to pronounce it, how to pronounce it, but mostly if S comes at the end of a word in French, it is silent. You don't pronounce it. Je means I, tu means you, il, elle, on means, il means he or it, elle means she or it, on means one or it. Okay? Nous means we, vous means you. This is the plural form or the respectful singular ninge, you form, thou in Old English. Il, elle, masculine and feminine, they. Pronouns are the same. So now let's look at the verbs. Here's your rule. 2 steps. What is the first step? Take the root, create the root, And how do you get the root? You take the infinitive and you minus or remove the ending IR. To which you add your endings. Now look at the endings. These are your endings, your IR endings. They're completely different from the ER endings. For je, it is IS. For tu, it is IS. For il, elle, on, it is IT. Nous is ISON. Vous, it is IC. And il, elle, it is IS. D'accord? Memorize them. IS, IS, IT, ISSONS, ISSEZ, ISSENT. You have to spend a lot of time memorizing. Memorize. Je, tu, il, elle, on, nous, vous, il, elle. It comes fast for me now because I've been memorizing for nearly 3 decades now. Okay? So you have to spend time memorizing, otherwise you won't get it. So we're looking at the verb finir, which means to finish. Same thing. Get your base. How do I get the base? I take the infinitive and what do? I remove the ending. I remove the IR ending. So that's my base. To my base, I add these endings and I get my conjugation. D'accord? Je finis, tu finis, il, elle, on finit, nous finissons, vous finissez, il, elle finissent. Base, to get the base is easy. Any infinitive, remove the ending. Remove its identity mark, remove its ending. Now you just have an ordinary base. Now to the base, you add your present tense endings and you get the verb. It's a bit like Tamil. How do you know if you take a verb like I'm coming, na varen, na varen. How do you know it's present tense? Because you look at the end. The ren tells you it's present tense. Okay? Na varen. Same thing here. You take the word fin and you look at the ending, and this ending tells you that this is the present tense. Je finis. Choisir, which means to choose. Same thing. Remove the IR. If you remove the IR, you have your base, CHOIS. Now this confuses many people because the ending has a IS and the base has a IS. This is not the verb. This is my base. To this base, I add IS. So je and tu will have two IS's. Je choisis, tu choisis. Alright? Il, elle choisit. IS, IT. Nous choisissons. It's a long ending. Vous choisissez. Il, elle choisissent. Alright? So base plus ending. Just like ER verbs, but different endings. So let's look at the irregular verb conjugation for IR. We have quite a few, unlike AR verbs. You have avoir. Avoir means to have. So you have to memorize this. Have. Not bad. I've written it quite nicely. Let me add this here and now you know. Oh bugger. I was trying to add the squiggle there. I have. Okay. Sortir is to go out, partir is to leave, venir is to come. You have quite a few verbs. You have to spend time and memorize them. I know them well now because I've been using them for decades. You have to memorize them every day. Only then will your mind retain them. But avoir, I told you it's important. It's the verb to have, and it is irregular. It is one of the fundamental verbs. One is être, which we saw in the RE conjugation. Now we are looking at avoir, j'ai, tu as, il, elle, on a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. Okay? Here I'm pronouncing the S because the second word starts with a vowel. Nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. The S becomes a Z and it attaches itself to the second word. Nous avons, vous avez, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont. D'accord? Now let's look at RE verbs. Same thing. How do I conjugate it? I have to follow this rule. I have a root. I form the root by removing RE from the infinitive, and to the root I add my endings. What are my endings? Mes terminaisons. Here are my endings. Je, it is S. Tu, it is S. Elle, there is no ending. It's just the base. Nous, it is ONS. Vous, it is EZ. Il, elle, it is ENT, just like ER verbs. D'accord? So let's look at the first one, which is attendre. Attendre is to wait. To wait on someone. An attender waits on you until you give that person some work to do. Form your base. How do I form the base? I remove the ER from my infinitive. And to my base, I add my ending. So this is it. J'attends, tu attends. Il, elle, on attend. There's no ending here. It's just the base. Nous attendons, nous attendons. The S goes into the next word. Nous attendons. Vous attendez. Ils attendent. Elles attendent. Alright? Straightforward. Base plus ending. Memorize. By now you know how to get a base. Take the infinitive and remove the ER or the RE or the IR. That's simple. The unsimple part is remembering the endings for each of the three groups. Spend some time, memorize. Now we are working on RE. Previously we worked on IR. The endings were je, IS, tu, IS, il, elle, on, IT, nous, ISS, ONS, vous, ISS, EZ, il, elle, plural, ISS, ENT. Now we are looking at the endings for RE verbs. Je, tu, it is S. Il, elle, on, there's nothing. Nous, vous, ILS and ELLES, just like your ER verbs. So, nous is ONS, vous is EZ, il, elle, plural is ENT. Okay? Let's look at the word vendre. Vendre is to sell. Je vends, tu vends, il, elle vend, nous vendons, vous vendez, il, elle vend. I'm not pronouncing the S here. Why am I not pronouncing the S here? Because the next word starts with a consonant. Whenever S ends a word and the next word starts with a consonant, I do not pronounce the S. Whenever, if you look at the verb attendre, nous ends with S, the next word starts with a vowel. So I pronounce the S, but I don't say S, I say je, nous attendons, vous attendez. See, the ze goes into the next word. Ils attendent, elles attendent. Alright? Just like ER verbs, you have irregular, but the difference is ER you only had one irregular, IR you had quite a few, and RE you have quite a few. D'accord? And the one you have to know is the verb être, which is to be. It is the verb to be. To be or not to be? That is the question all of us need to answer. Do we want to be? Do we want to live? Do we want to study? Do we want to excel? Or do we not want to be? Do we just want to be vegetables, doing what people tell us to do? We get by with the bare minimum. So to be or not to be. Être. Être actually means being, a human being. Être. So here again it's irregular. Je suis. Je suis. No link at all between the infinitive and the conjugation. Je suis, I am, tu es, you are, il, elle, on est, he, she, or one is, it is. Nous sommes, vous êtes, ils sont, elles sont, we are, you are, they are. D'accord? So see, each pronoun has its own verb. And therefore it may be confusing to some of you because in English you don't have so many conjugated forms. You have the same form that matches many subjects and pronouns. But in French, each pronoun has its own form of the verb. Very individualistic there. So remember that. The individual is important in French. Therefore, the individual has a different type of conjugation. D'accord? So learn up être, learn up avoir, learn up your regular conjugations for RE and ER verbs, and it will help you speak. Now, The last thing we're going to look here is how do we make a sentence negative? How do we make a sentence negative? Negative. Remember this. We have to use ne in front of the verb and pas after the verb. Ne in front, pas after. Ne in front, pas after. Ne is like do, pas is like not. I do not study. In English it comes together. In French you split it. You put ne in front of the verb, alright, and pas after the word. So the previous slide we saw je suis, I am. So if I call one of you and says, are you, tu es Ramya, you can say je suis Ramya if you happen to be Ramya. If you're not, you will say je ne suis is your verb, pas. Je ne suis pas Ramya, I am not Ramya. Je suis, I am. Suis is your verb. Je ne followed by verb suis, and then you have pas. Je ne suis pas Ramya. Alright? So, je ne mange pas. I do not eat. I am not eating. I am not eating. I do not eat. Tu ne lèves pas le chat. You're not lifting it up. You're not lifting up the cat. Tu ne veux pas danser. I don't want to dance. Ne, verb, jamais. Instead of pas, if you use jamais, it means never. So if someone wants you to sing on stage, you can say, je ne chante jamais, I never sing. Ne, verb, point means not at all. Alright? Ne verb plus means no longer. I used to eat vegetables. Now I no longer eat. Je mange la viande, I eat meat. Je ne mange plus la viande, I no longer eat meat. And ne verb rien means nothing. I see nothing. Je ne vois rien. I see nothing. So ne is always the same. If you change the second part of the negation, you get a variation in the negative sentence. But the basic one is ne verb pas. Whichever verb you're doing. Are you selling? What are you selling? Je vends. Tu vends. Tu ne vends pas. Aren't you selling? Alright? Il ne parle pas. He is not speaking. So whichever verb you want, put ne in front of the verb, pas after the verb, and you get a negative sentence. D'accord? Personne, the last one. Personne, no one. I saw no one. I speak to no one. I like no one. Je n'aime personne. I like no one. D'accord? So these are your negatives. You will see some of them, most of them, over the next semester. This is just an introduction to negativism. Okay. I've given you some more sentences here along with their translation so that you understand that ne comes in front of the verb and the negative form after. And as usual, tell me what's wrong in the sentence. Point means no, not at all, but I forgot the ne. Now, this is important because there's a vowel clash, right? Ne followed by a word starting with the E. So you remove the E and you have an apostrophe. Alright? Nous ne parlions plus. We are no longer speaking. We are good friends now. Nous ne parlions plus. Je ne vois rien. I see nothing. Il n'y a personne. There's no one here. So ne pas or ne followed by any one of these things is a negative marker. Merci. Thank you. Bon courage. Don't give up. Keep working. À bientôt. Bye bye.